Hello, it's Melinda from Scrapbookingncraft. Couldn't even pronounce my business name then. That's a day I'm having. Sorry, this is not a live video. I just tried to go live and the quality of it was not good. So instead of struggling through a not good quality video or a not good quality live, I decided to stop the live and film a video, and I'll put this up on the Facebook page a little later today when I finish filming it. So welcome to GICS. Sorry, GICS12. Sorry, my lives have been not well. I don't know. We are having so many issues with Optus at the moment. It's not funny. I can't even watch other people's lives without them stopping and starting. And I've tried several different people that I know live in several different parts of Australia. So I'm thinking it's my end. So I don't know. Technology and I are not friends lately. Can I go live on that abandoned island for a while? So I'm deciding I'm going to play with some of my new, some of my older products today. So I'm going to have a go with this smaller head in my smaller journal. So what I'm doing is working in a small Montmartre journal. So it's quite small and I don't have a ruler. Oh, I do. Lucky me, I have a ruler. So I'll just give you the quick size. It is 21 centimetres long by 15 high, so that makes it 41 centimetres across this page. I usually don't like working small, and I thought you probably bought this 12 months ago. It's a Montmartre sketchbook, so the paper's not great for mixed media, but I tear half the pages out because I stick a lot of stuff in it and makes it bulky, and then I stick two pages together, and I always more than likely put collage down to start with, so that does thicken up the pages as well. So these pages have got nothing on them apart from some gel medium when I stuck the music paper down quite a while ago. This book is, I'll give you a bit of a flip through, just move that out of the way. This is sort of a work in progress book. It's a nice little one to take. So I sometimes do some demonstrating in here. This was a live last year, doing some gel plating or gel printing, so rolled off some paint. This is fixing the book just with some brown paper tape. This one I need a quote, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to add anything else to it yet. Sometimes I just sit there and just add bits and pieces to it. This is more like a book. I don't sit and do the page from start to finish. So with art journaling, you don't need to sit down in one session and do the page start to finish. This one was really cool, using some masking techniques and just a couple of magazine images and being different. That page, what else have we got in here? We've got this one. This one is a lot of Delusion stamped images. I've got to decide whether I want to go back and colour or just stick a quote on. I don't know. So that's the great thing. That was another demonstrating page. I tend to demonstrate in a few of my art journals because then the picture's got a place and I don't have loose pieces of paper rolling around my house. I still have lots of those. So this is one I was experimenting with some magazine cutouts. And then going over the wording with black pen and doing some stenciling, so that's a work in progress as well. I don't know what I'm going to do with this page because it didn't leave me much room on the inside of the page, but I'll work that out. Page doesn't have to be made in a day. Let's get back and throw some paint around because I feel like it. I haven't actually done a lot of art for a while. Family has just engulfed my life lately with my darling daughter and just haven't left a lot of time for me. But I am trying to get back into it. I love my art. I'm much more sane when I do my art. I'm using some Dina Wakley acrylic paints. So we've got magenta and turquoise, and we've got rose quartz in the Delusions. Do I want a finger paint or did I get my spatula thing? I don't think I got my spatula thing. Oh yeah, I do. Spatula thing. A wedge spreader or a silicone brush it's called. I like these because I don't have to wash my paintbrush, and usually the paint just peels off when it gets too chunky. So I don't really know what I'm doing, so let's just throw some paint down. I like the Dina Wakley tubes because you can squeeze out just a small bit of paint, and being a heavy body paint, it does go a long way. So I'm just going to do some patches of paint. As I said, I really don't know what I'm doing today. I do have a napkin. My daughter, my 13, nearly 14-year-old daughter sells paper napkins on my website. It's her sort of little bit of the business. So we have a huge range of those at the moment, and I love using them. We sell them in packs of 2 of the same design, so you don't have to go out and buy a whole pack of napkins. if you don't think you're going to use them. What's this? I just got too much paint on my spatula. I didn't realise I was working in a small book when I put it out, so I'm just going to do the excess on this bit of paper I found lying around on my desk. And this will be torn up and used in my art journal. So I do apologise, this couldn't be live, but the internet gremlins are just, I don't know, this show, they're just being nasty today. So we're just going to give that a quick buzz with the heat tool. The advantage of doing this as a film video is I can pause when I'm doing the heat tool. So just going to dry this off really quick. It doesn't have to be totally dry. I can still see there's a bit of blob there, which I'll just squish out. So I'm just going to go in with my next colour. The two pinks I chose, if they do mix together, they won't make mud, which is really cool. So when choosing colours, just choose colours that are next to each other on the colour wheel, or I never can pronounce that word, analogous colours. Basically, it means they sit next to each other on the colour wheel. And if you don't know what a colour wheel is, you can search on the internet. It's basically it shows you how to mix stuff and what colours work well together. So if you pick colours that sort of sit next to each other, so pinks into the blues, and round to the reds and oranges, they'll all sort of play nice together. They won't make mud. So if I was to use a green with the pink, obviously green and red make brown, thinking back to our primary school days, you don't want to make mud on your page. If you do want to use those colours, that's fine, but you just got to make sure your paint is totally dry between layers. As I said, I don't really know what I'm doing, so I'm just slopping some paint around. This is how all my art journal pages start. I sort of know I want to put the head here. I've got a quote and maybe some cutouts to put on it. I don't know whether I'm going to use the napkin or not. And I've got some stencils. And I've got a circular stamp. So I just picked a few things just to keep it a bit basic. So with art journaling, if you're stripping it back to being basic, you do a background, which this is nearly a background. I might add a bit of stenciling and stuff in. And then it's basically a focal image. Now, your background can be lots and lots of layers. Your focal images can be very, very detailed. You can paint a face on it, and you can just put wording on it. It can be abstract. It can be basically anything. So, as I said, you can spend hours on this page or simply do one in 10 or 15 minutes. Just going to dry this completely off, and I'll be back. So this is my test to usually see if it's dry. I put my hand on it, and if I get paint on me that's wet, I need to dry it some more, but that is looking good. Okay, now what are we going to do? I think we might use our stencils. So again, this is sort of going to go here. I'm going to either colour it or leave it white and put black behind it to make it stand out. Let's use this one. This one's really cool. I think this one's called Whirlpool. So we do have a sale on at the moment until Thursday of next week. Which will be, I can tell you what that date is. So I've got a sale on our website until next 2nd of December. The sale will be taken off. There'll be one category that is left, which is our clear out category. I have a few too many of certain designs, and that's that 40% off first category on the website. That one will stay around for a while until I find all of those shapes new homes. I've been getting right through our show boxes that have been dormant for a while due to COVID, and sorting out what I've got, and some shapes I ended up with too many of. Some I cut for classes and then we don't get the full amount in the class, or sometimes I just overcut anyway or think I don't have any. Especially when we do the shows, I don't tend to serve people, so I don't know what's selling, and then the next show I decide to cut more stuff to fill up the boxes and I end up with loads of something. So I thought, let's find them a new home. So you find lots of bargains. They'll be lit. That category is listed at 40% off at the moment, and more discounts may be added as the weeks go by, but don't wait too long because some of the quantities are limited and you may miss out. You don't want to miss out, do you? So I'm just using, I'm getting into this and not saying what I'm using. I'm using an archival ink. It's a Wendy Vecchi one. It's called Cactus Flower. And I'm using a blending brush just to go through the stencils. These blending brushes, I believe this one's a Paper Rose one. I get most of my supplies from Hillbilly Scrapping. She has a huge range of stuff. If she doesn't have it, it's probably not available. Well, I'm liking that. I think we might go in and do some stamping. So I don't even know where this circle stamp is from. It's just one I found in my stash. I'm trying to deep dive my stash. It's great to go and buy lots of new products, but I find it's good to get into the older products or the ones that you have neglected and incorporate those, so add some new with some old as well. I like to do that. I'm trying to be good lately and only buy when I need. Get rid of that bit of plastic. Who has that issue as well? Buying when you want, not when you need. But I am sending my daughter Christmas shopping at Hillbilly Scrapping for my Christmas present. I thought I'll put a bunch of stuff in the shopping cart and then give her a budget and she can take out some stuff. She can take out some stuff until it's back to within our budget. That's a good way of getting things that I know I'll use and I know I want. I'll sort of point her in the right direction. Or you can get gift vouchers too, which are really cool. It's always nice to receive something. So I'm just stamping and I'm overlapping where my stenciling is going, just building up a bit of interest. These stamps are well used, so they don't cling real well, but they're clinging enough to, actually I might do it that way. And because they're quite fine stamps, they tend to get ink everywhere. So again, I'm just overlapping. You can even double stamping at a lighter ring. So just sort of connecting all the elements together. I don't like things floating around. On my page, I am endeavouring to do lives that are a bit more frequent. I have been lacking on social media lately, but as I said, family has taken a huge chunk of my time lately. Hopefully that is coming to a peak, and then I'll have a bit more time back for me, which will be nice. But family always comes first, always has to come first when you have kids. Even though some days I just want to disappear into my craft room and play. There we go. I think I'm happy with that. Because it's a smaller page, I don't want to overdo it. I have a tendency to throw everything but the kitchen sink at a page and end up a bit like a dog's breakfast. As you can see, these stamps won't even cling anymore to the piece of acetate. I might have to give them a wash with. Apparently wash with soapy water will take any of the lint or dust or anything that's sitting on it, and I should clean up this too. I was using the cleaner side. It's the only one I could find. Okay. Now, do I want to use this napkin? Thinking I like those lavender. And there goes my next door neighbour out with his truck. If it's not loud noises, it's music or internet playing up. So actually I might stick some of the napkin on. I think I like these lavender bits. So when you're using a paper napkin, they always come with 4 panels, and it comes with 1 or 2 white backings. So you need to take those off. This one I believe has 3 layers. Most napkins have 3 layers. One comes off super easy. The next one is sometimes a bit of a pain. The easy way to see if you've got too many layers still on your napkin is put it over some text or hear the music note, and if you can't read it, you need to take another layer off. So I tend to go just inside this textured bit into the flat bit, and then I usually can give it a bit of a rub and get it to separate. Some napkins are a bit stubborn than others, so if you can't find one spot, come around to another spot. Sometimes you can also flick the corners and the corners will start to separate. I can see the no, this one's just being stubborn. Of course on camera it will be stubborn. Ah, there we go. You just got it. I just managed to get that bit. So now I can gently pull that second layer off. Sometimes that has a little bit of printing. I do keep the white layers. Could use them as serviettes after you've taken the pretty layer for your art, or I stamp on those and use them as texture in my background. So there's a few different ways of separating the pieces you want. And now we can put this over the book text and we actually can see what is happening. So this white will almost disappear when I put it on the page. Let me get rid of this for a minute. I cleaned off my desk, but I still don't have enough space. And hopefully the purple will show up a bit more. So there are a couple of ways to separate the image you want out. You can grab a paintbrush with a little bit of water and paint around the area just with the water that you want and gently pull them apart. Or I'm going to probably do it the hard way and I'm going to cut. Cutting with scissors is a little bit more tricky because it is a very fine piece of paper. Now we've taken the backings off. So I've just roughly cut out the piece I want. Just going to cut some of this white away. As I said, most of this white is going to be disappearing when I put the gel medium on it. Oops. Little bits of napkin hanging around. You just got to be very gentle when you cut it with the scissors because it is quite fragile. Oops. Certainly doing it with the water technique gives you a bit more of a fuzzy effect, but because this is so detailed, I thought I'd go with the scissors. There's no right and wrong way to do things. Sometimes there's an easy way, and I tend to don't do easy really well. I tend to do things complicated. So I'm just taking some of the excess white away. Now I'm just going to put that back there because I know that's sort of going to where my head's going to be. This feels like my head lately with all sorts of stuff going on, especially with government departments. I'm so sick of government departments. And I sort of want to stick this sort of in here. And then maybe, let's see what else we've got in our napkin. Oh, it's a cute little butterfly. It's going to be a bit hard to cut out. Let's stick this bit on and then I'll decide what I want to do. So I'm going to glue it down with some matte medium. So the thinner your adhesive, this is a bit thicker but will still work. Usually I use quite a liquid adhesive, but this one's on my desk so we'll go with it. So I'm just going to basically put some where I want my napkin to go. Can't see it because it's obviously going to dry clear. Gently put my napkin on top. Got to be careful when your napkins get wet, they get even more fragile. And then loading my spatula up with a bit of gel medium to make it slide, I'm starting in the middle and gently putting a layer on top. And as you can see, the white of the napkin is almost disappearing. So you've got to be a little careful what colours you put your napkins on. Obviously I'm wanting this to go into the background and fade into the background a bit. I'm not wanting it sort of to be a focal image. And you don't want to keep scrubbing over and over it. You sort of only ideally want to go over it once. And I tend to work from the outside, the inside and go out, just to allow you not to tear the napkin. I find if you come from the middle and go out, you don't pick up the particular edges. I'm liking how that is looking. I think we need a little bit more. What are we going to have? I don't particularly want to use the same piece again, but I want a little bit here, I'm thinking. So I'm just looking at the napkin, deciding which bit I want to cut out. So napkins are a great way to get ephemera pieces or background pieces for your art journals or card making or scrapbooking. They are nice and affordable. And as I said, Alexa sells them in packet 2 of the same napkin. I believe most of them are priced, or they start at 75 cents and they're always on sale. She always puts them on sale. There's some on sale at the moment. Or sometimes they're a little bit more expensive if they're a bit more fancy. So again, I'm just trimming around a bit of the excess white. I know most of it's going to disappear, but if I can get most of it gone. So it saves you buying a whole pack of 20 napkins of the same thing and then deciding, what am I going to do with 20 napkins of the same thing? So you can get a huge variety for your money, which is fantastic. And we've got loads of backgrounds, we've got loads of focal points. There's something to suit just about everyone. So I think I want this to go over there. Oh, it looks like I need to put this one on my shopping list. I've got a big shopping list at the moment that I need to go and replace. So just making sure you have a fair bit, not too much, but a fair bit of the matte gel medium on the top of your spatula to glide over the top of the napkin. I think I'm happy with that. Let me dry that off and then come back. Probably got a bit of pink in my matte gel medium now because I didn't rinse off my spatula or my silicone brush first. Oops. I'm going to dry this off and I'll be back. Now that is all dried off, and as you can see, almost can't see the napkin. If you come up close you can, but from a distance you can't. So you just got to be really careful. If you have bold things in the background, obviously that's going to distract from your napkin. I was thinking I'm going to put black behind that, but I've got not much else black on my page, so I'm going to, do I want it to be pink? Oh, I could utilise this bit of pink. Or do I want it to be purpley blue? Decisions. What if I took a bit of blue and rubbed it into the pink and see what happens? I think if it's too pink, it's going to get lost in the background. Whoops. So I'm just rubbing a little bit of the blue over the top. I'm going to see what that looks like. I may end up going, I don't like that, and maybe a little bit more at the top. Now, if my pink paint was wet still, it would mould in. That's going, would colour in and make a bit of a purple. That's what else we're going for. I think that's going to look good because it will tie in the blue with the, looking for my glue. So just got a fine glue stick. So when you're gluing things like this, you don't have to put glue everywhere. I sort of like to get glue on most of the outside and then just pick the fattest bits on the inside. So this is our small head. We've got this one in medium and large if you're working in larger art journals as well. And I've also got some standing ladies with the words. And then I've got a lady crouched down having a bad day. It seems like me lately. So I'm just going to glue that on because if I glued it straight on the page, because it's a see-through element, it'll get lost. So I often back my elements like this. And this bit of paper did come in handy. Just going to get that and press down, and then I'm going to fussy cut it out. I like to roughly fussy cut first, and then I will go and clean it up. So you could fussy cut this with a knife. You've sort of got a bit of a edge. These white cuts are made from 400 mixed media cardstock, so you can colour them, so that could have been an option as well. But I decided to leave this one white. Some of them do come with a little bit of brown marks on them. Now all the chipboard and the mixed media die cuts that I sell on my website are all laser cut, so they're burnt. So sometimes there's a bit of charcoaling or brown staining on them, and that's just, unfortunately, the machine sometimes does that, especially these detailed shapes that the machine has to make so many passes over to cut. But if you want it to be stark white, just add some white paint over the top and it hides them beautifully. The black ones you don't have to worry about because the black ones are just black and you don't see the black marks on them, which is always handy. So I just got to go back in and clean up a couple of little bits that I missed. I could do this with a knife. I find it easy with scissors. And I apologise if I'm going out of frame. I just have to have it quite close to my nose to see what I'm doing. Oh, I'm liking that. Now, I did pull aside some other embellishments to go on here. Just just going to put that napkin so it doesn't get squished. I'm going to pick one of these collage words. These are from Dina Wakley. So these come in white and black, so I'm going to go for one of the black ones. You have soul and heart. That one's a bit small. The secret, keep going, every day is another chance. Maybe you are worth it. Maybe you've got this, stay curious, hold on tight. Actually, I like one of the bolder ones. Art. You are sensitive, and that's okay. Artist soul. I think I'm going to go with one of these bolder ones. You have heart and soul. I think we're going to go with. I think this one's going to get a little lost. So these are tissue papers as well, and you stick them down the same as the paper napkin with the matte gel medium, and it'll almost, the white of the tissue will almost disappear. Oh, getting them back in the bag is always fun because they're fragile little things. Whoops, and we'll lose the white ones. I'm going to stick that on eventually, and then I want something to go under my head because she's floating at the moment. So I've just grabbed some of my Art by Marlene paper elements, and let's have a quick flick through and see if any of these colours work with what I've got. Knowing me, they won't. Ooh, that could. This is possibly not the right colours. Actually, I do like, let's grab a couple of these black and white circles because they're cool. I'll grab 5 because 5 is a nice odd number. So I'll grab those, and I think I'm going to go back and grab that. That green at the back is really deceiving. So these are all pop out, so, or that one. No, I think I like the other one. So they are all perforated. No fussy cutting, which is fantastic. And you get so many in the book. You get 2 sheets of each, which is great as well. Oh, look, perfect. It is a bit red, but I might grab this one too because we might use that. The reason I store them in the Ziploc bag is if I punch any of them out and end up don't using them, I can stick them in the Ziploc bag. They don't tend to get lost. So I am liking that. Even though that's a bit red, it gives my head, actually I might do that. It gives my head almost a body. She's a bit floaty at the moment, so we don't want a floaty head. This one I might put up here and it will sort of tie those together, and then I might scatter out some of these. And the circles, we've got circles in the stencil, we've got circles in the stamps, now we've got circles in the cutouts. Just don't want to have too many around. Don't like that one. That one goes up there. Needs to go down here. I've got to sit and play all day. I struggle with the smaller books because I want to throw everything at it. You know what? I'm just going to stick and plonk today. I'm not going to procrastinate. No procrastinating here. Better zip that up now that I have loose elements running around. Yes, stick and plonk. Let's not question where it is. Let's just go with it. Some days you can procrastinate way too much. Move it around 100 times, and then I tend to move it back to where I first had it. I love how these die cuts almost fade into the background because there's no white. When you pull them out, you're pulling them out. I put glue on it. I don't think I did. When you're pulling them out, you're pulling them right on the printing. There's no white lines, which is really cool. A lot of other die cuts have this white border around them, and sometimes they make it stick out like a sore thumb. So I'm just going to glue that one down. I'm just using Montmark tacky glue. I just like it because it's got a thin tip on it. Tends to work really well. So art journaling is very personal. You can sit here and do some journaling or writing. This is sort of symbolic of writing and a lot going on in your head, so I don't think I have to add much more. Now, I could have added some more stamping in the background, but what I want to do is you have heart, you have soul and heart. Now the advantage of these is you can cut them apart and sort of spread them out, because I sort of want to spread it across the 2 pages to get a bit of continuity. That's why I like sticking these dots across the 2 pages to tie it all together, and that's why I put these and these here. Even though they're different, they're the same sort of element. I could have hand drawn something like that, but hey, it's quick and easy to stick a sticker down. Where's my scissors? Lost my scissors. So these, again, got a napkin stuck to my scissors. You can cut with a bit of water, but because they're so close together, I'm just going to be gentle and use the scissors. I'm going to cut them quite close so they almost disappear. That's why I chose the really stark font, because I wanted it to stand out against my background. If I want it to stand out, I could always glue it to some white cardstock before I glue it to my page. Just got to bear in mind with tissue paper, it is see-through, so it will take on whatever is in your background. So when I put these down, I sort of want to pick a more plainer piece. The worst thing about heart, cutting things apart is trying to put them back together. And I think you said that heart's in the wrong spot because it's got the dot on it. So you just got to be fairly careful when you're cutting the tissue paper as well. If you tear, it's no big thing. You can stick it down and then go over it with a black pen to fix up any bit that you tore off. No mistakes in art journaling. You just slightly change the way you thought you were going to do it. And I think it's you have the soul and heart. Okay. So put that one there, one there, that one there. I think I'm happy with that. Let's just stick it. That's going to be the theme of today. Stick it. I suppose that is part of being basic. Well, back to basics, back to not procrastinating. So again, just putting some matte gel medium where it's going to go and just going over the top. Because this tissue paper is a little bit more forgiving than a napkin, it can be a little bit more rougher, but not too rough. And this Dina Wakley tissue almost disappears into the background. You can see it a little, but it almost disappears. This matte gel medium is obviously matte. There's a couple of different ones you can get. One called gel, one called gloss and one called matte. The matte one obviously doesn't have a gloss to it, so you almost can't see it when it dries. So if you get it beyond where your word's going, it's no big issue. It may have a little bit of a shine of where you can see it, depending on what brand you buy, but most brands are pretty good. And if they're a little crooked, who really cares? So I'm just going back over and trying to pick up any of the big blobs of gel medium I've put everywhere. Wiping it back in the jar. I'm going to give that a bit of a dry, and then I'll come back and see if I'll need to do any pen work. I think I want to do a scribbly border around the edge, then it might be done. So I've just tried all that gel medium off, and I think that is looking really good. Let's get this out of here for a bit. Happy with how that is looking. I think the only thing it needs is a bit of a border. I could leave it the way it is. I like to border about 95% of my pages. And in this instance, I'm just going to do a bit of a squiggly border, and I usually do 3 lines because 3 lines look better than 1 line. And I'm going to turn my book upside down So my hand is always scribbling in the right direction. This will tie a bit of the black into it as well. So what I'm going to do is not go over that piece, so that looks like it's in the foreground. So this piece looks like it's on top of the border, so it's on top of the page. Just trying to judge where my page is, because all my pages are not sitting flush in my journal. It's not a big thing. Just got to work out where I'm drawing. So bordering your page, whether it's a little squiggly line, a bit of ink, or a big chunky border, it sort of gives your page a bit of a finish. There we go. See how that's just finished that off? Now I could go and do a squiggly square on the words. Debating whether to do that. See, knowing when to stop is hard. I could go and add a bit of black into, actually I might add a bit of black into these. Just because there's a bit of black up here. So there's no reason, if you buy an embellishment like this, there's no reason why you can't add your own marks to it to make it match more onto your page. And they are a bit squiggly and sketchy, but that's okay. That sort of coincides with that. I like that a bit better now. It sort of finishes it a bit. Do I want to put squares around the words? I think I'm going to put squares around the words. Or not. No, I think I'm going to leave it. Walk away. I think I like how that has come up. A bit different to what I usually do. Don't usually work in this long format. This long format is challenging to work in, but it's always good to challenge yourself and work in a format, whether it's smaller or bigger, whether it's this way or whether I turn the book and do a long one this way. That's a bit harder to film. It's good to get out of your comfort zone and challenge you and go beyond what you're comfortable in. But I do like the flow of this. It sort of has a flow. She's staring off. If I'd put her and her head was facing this direction, it would turn this page into a totally different feeling. But she's sort of looking out here, and we've sort of got a flow to the page as well. Thank you very much for watching, and sorry this could not be live, but, well, the internet gremlins are just being frustrating. I'll put it that way. But at least you got to see an art journal page. I would love to see what you create if you do create with any of the products you purchase from myself or Scrapbooking and Craft. Tag us in social media and we can have a squizzy at what you've been doing with our products. And Alexis loves to see her napkins used as well. Bye for now. Have a great day.